challenges of making kinetic sculpture is what I like. It has to move without destroying itself and banging into itself. It really takes a lot of work to figure this stuff out. I come up here and I start doing sketches, cutting pieces, making models, and all these models are just ideas, and to make them full size, that's when the work starts getting a little harder. When I originally started out, I thought, what shape can I make that requires the least amount of work? It was a triangle. And then it's like, how can I get more dimension and more concavity and convexity? So then I got the English wheel, and that's a whole study in itself. Even to make the moons, so you can weld it and it's strong and it looks good, they're tricky. There's something about seeing the wind hit these things, or having them outside when the trees aren't even moving and these sculptures are moving. That becomes magical. My stuff is getting more complex and hopefully more simple. It's taken me 40 years. I'm finally getting the hang of making stuff.
I do everything on a computer at this point because I have potential for animation. I can move things around, find out if there's going to be any conflict. The motion begins to look as if it's in a weightless environment, and to me that's part of the magic of having kinetic art. This particular element is to hold a bearing barrel, and it fits inside the chassis of the sculpture. So you have a shaft, the bearing set, and the holder, and that's what holds the elements together. Why titanium? It's very much more expensive. It's also very strong. The weight becomes more or less a quarter of what something like this would be made out of stainless steel. The most exciting thing to me is when I see the balance, because that's when these things really float and become free. And it's like silk. It's like watching silk flow in the wind.
I currently live in Seattle, Washington. I have a studio that's not far from downtown. When I started fabricating out of steel, it was kind of a natural progression to add bearings, counterbalances. The materials that I use are primarily steel, wood, glass, and stone. There's always a little bit of a battle and give and take between you and the materials to get the sculpture to react how you want it to have the beginning and the composition of the piece before it moves have a harmonious nature to it. The commission process, that's a collaborative effort between myself and the end client. In the 3D graphics program, I can animate the design and really simplifies the commission process. I've learned a lot about different sculptors just on my own. George Rickey, Alexander Calder, Noguchi. I just admire for advancement of sculpture the role they played in history. The sense of awe and relaxation that it evokes from people is the thing that I find the most rewarding.
Kinetic sculpture shows the passage of time. That brings the fourth dimension into art. I build these pieces in a three-dimensional way by essentially fabricating a hollow shape that has counterweights inside it and is ready to receive a pivot point. I have to go all the way around the perimeter on both sides, and I'm welding fairly thin stainless steel. Sometimes I make a piece where I actually hammer the sides out in a convex manner. I'm quite enamored with the aerodynamic or hydrodynamicness of fish. I love these concepts of center of gravity and rotational angles and completely random motion. The piece is moving, but the light across it is moving too. I've been off the grid for 37 years. I've used solar electric power. It's worked really well. My favorite part of a kinetic sculpture is that moment of reaching perfect balance and have a wonderful life as a sculptor out in the landscape.